My Lord and my God, I firmly believe that you are here, that you see me, that you hear me. I adore you with profound reverence. I ask you for pardon of my sins and grace to make this time of prayer fruitful. My Mother Immaculate, Saint Joseph, my Father and Lord, my guardian angel, intercede for me. There's one big question that all of us face, and that question is, who has authority over me? If a policeman stops me in traffic, I stop. If anybody else tries to stop me, I don't think I would. I could choose to ignore them. The policeman has authority. When I was younger and my dad told me to do a job, I felt he had authority and I simply had to obey. As a priest, I have a prelate who has authority over me, and he could, if he wanted, ask me to do a different kind of pastoral task. And really, if it weren't impossible for me, I should do it. Why can policemen or dads or prelates tell me what to do? Ultimately, it's because God himself has given them this power, which we call authority, over me. If God hadn't given the policeman or my father or the prelate that authority, they would have no authority over me whatsoever. They couldn't suggest or ask or command me to do anything. St. Paul puts it very well when he says this: let every person be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God. So a simple observation from St. Paul. So if I disobey the policeman who pulls me in, or my father, or now my prelate, as long as they're not asking me something completely crazy, I would be disobeying God himself. So you see, it's quite something, really. And we see this theme of authority appearing in today's gospel, where Jesus goes with his disciples back to his Capernaum, which is his base up in Galilee in the north of Israel. And on the synagogue, on the Sabbath, they go into the synagogue, and Jesus begins to teach there. And the people hearing him are really impressed. He's very different from the others who would typically speak in there on a Sabbath, the scribes. Jesus was different. He had authority. He taught with authority. They could kind of feel his authority. And then as if to prove this, one of these days when Jesus is teaching in the synagogue, a man possessed by an unclean spirit, he began shouting, "What do you want with us, Jesus of Nazareth? Have you come to destroy us? I know who you are, the Holy One of God." So kind of a big outburst in the synagogue, dramatic, and this man screaming at the top of his voice. And Jesus says, we're told, sharply, "Be quiet, come out of him." With that, the unclean spirit threw the man into convulsions, and with a loud cry went out of him. Well, again, the people are really astonished. And they mention this word authority again. Here is a teaching that is new and with authority behind it. He gives orders even to unclean spirits, and they obey him. So you can imagine that, well, it seems that in those times, possessions was not uncommon. And they could never see anybody who, with such authority, could just simply tell an unclean spirit, "Shut up and get out." And they obey, just like that. The incredible authority of Jesus. It's good for you and for me to remember this. Jesus Christ is Lord. He possesses all power in heaven and on earth. We're told that he is far above all rule and authority and power and dominion. He is superior to any other kind of authority or power or dominion on earth. because God the Father has put all things under his feet. Jesus is the Lord of the whole universe, the cosmos, and of all history. What authority he has. However, it's good for us to remember that the authority that Jesus exercises is done in a very gentle way, not domineering. He doesn't force us to do things. You, Jesus, you actually respect my freedom, even if I want to do crazy things. It saddens you, it maybe breaks your heart, but you do respect my freedom. You only give these sharp commands, like the one we see in the synagogue in Capernaum, to devils. They no longer have any freedom to be respected. They've thrown their freedom away. And so there's nothing to be respected in a demon. And so Jesus speaks to them very differently from the way that he speaks to us. We never see him sharply commanding anybody in the Gospels except demons. Rather, he gently invites us, come, follow me. So our obedience to Jesus is not like that of a slave, the slave who resents the master, who can't wait to get away from him. But rather, our obedience is the obedience of a son or daughter who really loves their father, who really doesn't want to disobey them. And St. Paul, again, he's very good on this theme. He says, you did not receive a spirit of slavery to fall back into fear. The slave is kind of fearful of their domineering and often cruel masters. But, says St. Paul, you have received a spirit of adoption. In other words, of children of God. Nonetheless, this is something that Pope Francis tells us in one of his letters. Really, this is directed more at those who still have parents who have authority over them. The authority of parents is obviously strongest when we're youngest. They never lose their authority completely, but their authority is very strong when we're younger, when we're still at home, for instance. So this is what Pope Francis says to us. To you, I'm not so young, unfortunately. Young people are also urged to accept the authority of those who are older, says St. Peter. The Bible never ceases to insist that profound respect be shown to the elderly, since they have a wealth of experience. They have known success and failure, life's joys and afflictions, its dreams and disappointments. So he's speaking about a natural obedience, a natural authority that comes with age. There's good news for people like me. There's a natural authority because you've been around the block. And it gives you an authority, not the same as the authority of a parent over their child. But there is a kind of authority that comes with a kind of expertise with age. And so he again quotes St. Paul, where he says, an ancient sage, that's what he calls St. Paul, asks us to respect certain limits and to master our impulses, urge younger men to be self-controlled. And I suppose younger men to be particularly obedient most of all to mum and dad, younger men and women, of course, really obedient to mum and dad, knowing God gave them this authority, and then to policemen and prelates and whoever else it might be in time. I give you thanks, my God, for the good resolutions, affections, and inspirations you have communicated to me in this meditation. I ask you for help to put them into effect. My Mother Immaculate, Saint Joseph, my Father and Lord, my guardian angel, intercede for me.